To collect or not to collect? That is the question. In this marketing analysis case, we are presented with the company State Farm. State Farm is facing the decision whether or not to implement the use of big data such as their database program OnStar in order to collect vehicle information to see if drivers qualify for a discounted rate. State Farm is facing this decision with many factors that include their program OnStar. OnStar is a type of consumer relationship management type of database in which they would be collecting the vehicle information and kind of storing that and seeing whether or not the drivers would be qualified for the type of discount. So that would be considered a type of consumer or corporate IT source in which State Farm would be allowed to collect a type of data. So that would be one source of big data for State Farm in order to implement this decision if they decided to go with it. Another factor would be the privacy advocates and their concern with implementing the big data. They feel like it may be an invasion of privacy, and State Farm would be using this information to track drivers' routes or other information that they could use to breach the kind of terms in which State Farm says that they're going to use the information for, and they're very concerned that it would be another type of Big Brother program in which consumers would be watched, and they're very wary of the use of big data. Another factor that State Farm is facing with this decision would be their competitors. The external threats would be other car insurance companies such as Allstate, and they're already implementing big data with the use of their DriveWise program, as well as Progressive and the use of their Snapshot program. These competitors are already using big data, and State Farm needs to be able to keep up and stand out with the competitors in order to keep their customers and make sure they're giving them the best service that they can. So the alternatives to this decision would be for State Farm to, one, do nothing about the decision. They would just stick with what they're already doing and not implement the big data. They would use demographics such as race or age, gender, income, anything like that to determine whether or not the consumers would get a maybe discounted rate on their insurance. And they wouldn't really be standing out with their competitors, they would just be staying where they are. And if they're comfortable with that, then that would be the decision that they would take. The other alternative to this decision would be for State Farm to implement the big data program and gather the consumer's vehicle information in order to give them a discounted rate. I believe that this decision to implement the big data would be the wisest decision for State Farm for multiple reasons. The first being that State Farm would be helping out the customers who are reliable and who have been with the company for a while and help them out. The consumers who are quote-unquote good drivers would benefit from this. They would receive maybe up to a 50% discount on their insurance rates. And I believe that would be a good way to ensure the stability and continuation of those consumers' relationship with State Farm. And also the bad drivers who maybe don't keep up with the speed limit or have gotten into an accident or two would really not be harmed with this decision. They would still just be paying the rates that they already were, and if the big data was used, they would still be safe paying the same rate that they already were. Another factor in this decision, if State Farm went with it, would be that they're keeping up with their competitors. They're trying to stand out among other car insurance companies and overcome those external threats by implementing this program to help out their consumers and keep those customers. Another factor in it would be that State Farm would be gaining a lot of structured data. They would be gaining information such as like speeds and other numerical information like that, and that's very easy to put onto a computer and analyze whether or not they get a discount or not. And it's easy to look back on and say our consumers went this speed, therefore they should get this discount. And overall, State Farm would be having a lot more market control. They would be able to see if this tactic would be working or not working, see if they have positive or negative feedback from it, and make another decision to keep this or move on and try something else. So ways to implement this would be for State Farm to lay out all of their terms and what they would be doing, what they won't do with that information, and make sure the consumers are aware of this when they have the option. If they do want it or if they don't, they do not have to take this program and give up their information if they don't wish to. And with this, State Farm could be hold accountable with it. They would keep the privacy advocacy groups very happy in a sense where they know what they will or will not do with that information, and they'll be very happy with that. And another thing to implement with this would be to make sure that OnStar is not a type of commercial entity source, and to make sure that OnStar would not be maybe selling this information to a car company or someone else who might value drivers' speeds or amount of times they're in an accident or other information like that. So if State Farm makes sure that OnStar is held accountable and that the consumers and privacy advocates know what they're doing with the information and how it will be used in order to benefit consumers, I believe overall that implementing the Big Data program would be a benefit to State Farm.